Hello, my name is Julio Cardenas, and I'm the broker here at Century 21 King in Rancho Cucamonga, California. And I'm here with mega star real estate agent, Mr. Ricardo Acevedo, who has reached phenomenal heights in his real estate business, himself and his team. And we want to delve in a little into what makes Ricardo Acevedo and his team tick. Ricardo, welcome.
Thank you, Julio. Thank you for having me over. Appreciate it.
So right now, you are number one in the state in California for Century 21 teams that are categorized in the same category. That means that you will close how many real estate sites this year?
We're going to be just under 300 unit sites.
Under 300?
Just under 300 or close to 300 on that ballpark.
Wow, that's great. How many will be seller sides and how many will be buyer sides? Do you have that?
It's 65-35, somewhere on that ballpark. 65 listing sides, 35% buyer sides.
Excellent. Now, just so everyone who is watching can understand your marketplace, tell me what your average sales price is, and has that changed just based on the market, or have you consciously focused on raising that sales price?
It's usually the market. The market that dictates my sales price range, because I've been in the same marketplace for years already, and it's basically depending on what the market is doing and where it's at that determines my price range point. And right now it's between 380 to 400,000.
I see. So that is 65% sellers and 35% buyers. Is that exactly where you want to be, or are you looking to change those ratios to more sellers versus buyers, or vice versa?
No, just keep it the same. We're looking to keep it the same, just keep it consistent, and it'll grow automatically based off of just touching more families and more people.
Do you do all of those transactions yourself, or do you have a team that works with you?
Oh no, well, there's a big operation behind us, a good team behind us, from agents to staff. Basically what it consists of, I have 2 agents along with myself and Sandra, who are the main team leaders, and I have 4 staff members.
Now, 4 staff members, those are the ones doing the back office.
Correct.
Transaction coordinating.
Yeah, paperwork, appointments, internal stuff that requires a lot of just tedious stuff internally.
Yes.
Not being on the field, but mainly just the internal stuff to make sure that the production itself it's flowing naturally. Customer service is there. Everything follows as scheduled, and all the dates and close of escrows are met on expectation.
Very good. And so that team behind you has to be pretty solid so that it allows you to go out and do what you do
Absolutely.
best, and your team members that are actively selling and listing, correct?
That is correct. Every year is basically we're fixing the system, we're adjusting it, and we're making it more efficient on a year-to-year basis. So yeah, we have a very solid staff team, and they do a phenomenal job back there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in a position to operate to the level that we operate as far as production goes, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of knowledge back there to be able to push so many transactions and keep everything organized, and to still make sure customers are happy at the end of the day.
Ricardo, before we move on, I want to ask you specifically about your team. Mm-hmm. What are their roles? What do they do specifically for the team?
Perfect. So 4 staff members, 2 agents, and then Sandra, who's my business partner, my wife. I'll start off with staff. Isis is my backbone of the business. She's the production manager for the office. She makes sure that every file and every transaction is handled from A to Z, meaning checking contracts, verifying timeframes, following up with escrows, lenders, buyers agents, and just making sure to keep everybody on their toes when it comes down to the opening happening. What we usually do is when an escrow opens, we hand over the file, and she pretty much takes off with the file all the way up to closing. I get involved in the important items of the file whenever obviously I have to step in and do anything that requires additional adjusting or anything with the file itself. But she usually basically is on top of making sure it opens and it closes on time. That's Isis. She's my production manager. Then I have Natalie, who's my transaction coordinator. Natalie handles everything that has to do with paperwork, meaning we're in compliance with our file, meeting our customers to sign escrow documents, disclosures, sending out contingency removals, and just making sure that we're, again, on track also on paperwork wise, and we're within full compliance of the required forms. And then I have Francisco, who's also a personal assistant to myself, along with Isis and my production manager. Francisco is on top of just doing miscellaneous stuff, running boxes, meeting a buyer for a home inspection, removing boxes, going out and checking on permits for a project, just doing the things that are basically out of the blue. Something needs to happen. He runs out on the company car and just assists us to make sure the little things that still have to happen, the little things that get thrown in a transaction, he's there to assist to make sure, he can help us out, get us through any unforeseen last minute things that has to happen. Okay. Yeah. And then I have Ashley, who's touching all my CRM, all my clients. She's my client relationship manager. She's basically assisting with, touching our clients, sending anniversaries on their 1-year anniversary, closing gifts, touching them on a weekly, bi-weekly, or weekly, monthly basis, depending on what type of campaign we have them under. And then just basically trying to keep ourselves as connected as possible with our past clients. And then we have Sandra, which is my wife. She's in charge of, the operations internally, making sure that everybody gets paid, making sure that our books are online, and making sure that checks and escrow and everybody's taking care of business when it comes down to, money coming in, agents and employees getting paid, and make sure that finances run correctly.
Yeah. And then, let me tell you, she's on it.
Yeah, she's really good at it. And, nobody complains about checks not being paid out on time, so that's a good thing. And then I have my 2 agents. They've been with me for a long time already. Small operation, I call it a small operation, but very productive and efficient operation. I have Sabino Gutierrez. He's been with me for years already. Yep. And he is not only a buyer's agent, but he also is listing property. So he's basically out there assisting me with, with overflow, assigning leads. He's out there producing new clients on his own. He's got his own clientele, but they feed off of obviously what the team creates, which is new listings, new buyers, and just the revolution of activity that happens on a day-to-day basis. They assist me with assisting customers and making sure that we're attending every call and every service request we get from oncoming leads. And then I have Esmeralda Nunez, who's also has been with me for years. Our people is very committed. All of my staff and both of my agents, these are long-term people. They've been with us for many years. They're core people to the team, to the operation, and to our success. Esmeralda's been with us for years, and she's similar to what Sabino's doing. She's with buyers and taking listings and assisting with files that I hand over to them, leads that they assist for me, and obviously creating their own business and creating obviously their own transactions from their sphere and the way they go out and prospect for a new business.
Ricardo, about how many transactions do you have going on a month on a consistent basis? And does any of your staff, do they work on weekends?
Yes. So we always have on our pipeline anywhere from 30 to 40 transactions at all given moment, from the ones closing to the ones opening. So we're always touching between 30 to 40 files every single month. And yes, I do have staff working on weekends to make sure that they're available for any calls that need to be handled, go out and meet a buyer at a property, assist one of our sellers with anything that needs to be assisted with. But yeah, I do have always 2 people on call and on the office, or at least 1 in the office, 1 on the field, but I usually always have 2 people available from the staff every weekend.
So your role is, obviously, you would be considered the CEO of your company. And walk me through a normal day in real estate for you and your team.
Normal day in real estate, I get into the office usually between 7:30 to 8 a.m. My prospecting time is between 8:30 and 11 a.m. That's basically new production, new transactions. That's where I make my money. 8:30 to 11 is basically, I shut my door down. Nobody could actually interrupt me. That's my prospecting time. That's where I follow up. That's where I make appointments, set up listing presentations, and do everything that has to do with new business creation. Past that, it's my lunch time. And then after that is meeting customers and making sure I service anything that I got to service on the pipeline that I got to personally attend to.
Very good. Do you work weekends, or are you strict about only working during the week?
Physically, I show up to the office Monday through Friday. I'm a Monday through Friday guy. I haven't physically shown up to the office consistently for about 6 or 7 years already.
Yeah.
I don't work on weekends, just on the phone. I do answer my phone. That's one of the things I don't stop doing. Not as periodically as Monday through Friday, but I physically show up Monday through Friday, put in my work. Weekends, I'm alerted to my phone. I'm on top of answering calls, but I'm a Monday through Friday guy in the office.
That's great. Now, where do you see yourself and your team in 2020? How many transactions do you see your team doing then?
We're going to hit over 300 for sure. Not focusing too much on the units. I think our main focus right now is I'm working on helping out both of my agents, which is Savino and Esmeralda. I'm actually in the process right now of just developing. We're working very thorough and very intimate on a group, mastermind group that we're doing daily accountability with them right now, and we're starting to see great outcome from that, and mainly, what we're focusing right now is it's on developing these guys. I'm helping them develop themselves to be great listing agents, so that by next year, they have 2 or 3 times more of the listing inventory that they carry now, so that we're able to grow their pipeline of listings, and then from there they'll generate buyers automatically. But that's kind of what the thing is right now with my team members, is making sure I'm assisting them so I can help them develop themselves to the next level.
That's excellent. Okay, we know where you are right now, but I'm sure that everyone is interested in where you came from. When did you get into real estate, and what were you doing before that?
So I got in the business in 2015. I don't remember the exact dates,
but it couldn't have been 15.
I'm sorry, 2005. 2005. So yeah, 2005, maybe towards the end of 2005, early 16, somewhere in that ballpark. And I was in the construction field before, physical labor construction, out on the field, working with my hands on the heat, and just putting in physical work.
Yeah. That's tough.
So that's the background I come from, construction, yes.
You came into the business right at the downturn, right? So you got into the business 2005. So 2006, 2007, and now in 2007, you're starting to see a shift, sort of an earthquake. And then by 2008, we're full-blown into recession, going into a recession. When everyone was getting out of the business, you were getting into the business. What was your experience during that time?
I remember it like if it was yesterday. It was an experience that I think kind of built me mentally, in a sense, to where I'm at now. Obviously been polishing and getting it better, but it was that time frame where, everything was falling apart, right?
Yeah.
I started in the business, and I started doing well very quickly, Julio. And I think the part of it is because my work ethic was there. I came from a background of construction into an office environment, door knocking. It wasn't difficult for me. I was already used to putting in work. So when I came in, I started just putting in the time, putting in the work. My work ethic was there. I started, doing a couple transactions here and there. So by the time the market started just shifting, I didn't allow, the environment itself to negatively impact me and my mindset, so that it would have got caught up with all the emotion and commotion that was happening. I just had faith on my abilities, on my work ethic, that everything was going to be fine as long as I kept just focused on the target. And the target was just keep working, Ricardo, keep doing what you've been taught to do, keep learning, do the basics, do your day-to-day prospecting, that everything was just going to be fine. And that's kind of how we navigated through it, because there was a lot of negative stuff and a big negative environment. And I was just that guy that kept myself very focused and very just determined to accomplish success in this business. And I kept moving forward, Julio.
That's great. Yeah, and working in construction, I'm sure, has not been nearly as simple as working in real estate, right? Because in construction, you're out there, you mentioned you're out there working in the heat, you're digging ditches, you're whatever, working with cement, and it's hard work.
Correct.
But real estate is not hard work compared to...
Not labor-wise, right?
Right.
It's hard work in its aspects of dealing with rejection and dealing with
more of the mind.
More of the mind. But I handle it well. I was a guy used to really challenge myself, and even now. But coming in from physical line of work to an office environment, or being out on the field, knocking on doors, meeting people.
Yeah.
It was easy for me, the transition of that matter. It was mainly getting, obviously, the mindset going and learning the sales aspect of it, and then just basically becoming a good or a great sales person, because putting in the work, it had never been the issue. It was mainly, growing in my skills and growing, stronger mindset, and just going out there and doing the basics to go out and meet customers and potentially create transactions from meeting more and more contacts, right? Meeting people.
So you mentioned knocking on doors. Tell me about that. Did you start by knocking on doors? Is that something you did on a consistent basis, or did you even knock on doors?
So I've always been a pretty good student, Julio. I'm the guy, I don't question, success. I'm the guy, if I show up, if I see somebody being successful and they tell me, hey, you got to do A, B, C, and D. I was just that kid that was hungry to be successful. Me and Sandra, that's kind of what our thing was. We had a good attitude. We were just two kids with really good attitude, in a sense that we wanted to be successful, and we were willing to do whatever it took to be successful. So, when we got into the business, we started listening to our managers, our office operations staff, and kind of the to-do in order for you to be successful or for you to get business. So they would tell me, you got to go out and door knock, and you got to say A, B, C, and D, which was Mike Ferry's scripts and dialogues. And that's what I did, Julio. I used to go out and door knock 7 days a week, 6 days a week, but I was very consistent on a day-to-day basis. That was where I said, well, this is where I'm going to get business, and that's where I'm going to be at. So I was a door knocker for years, Julio, until I started flowing in more and more transactions, and the door knocking kind of started, I started doing less and less because I was more involved into the transactions and then trying to generate from those transactions. But I was a big time door knocker. I built skin through door knocking in this business. I met one of my most important clients through door knocking. So door knocking was kind of where I started, and
Wow.
and it was a great experience.
That's excellent. Ricardo, how many doors would you knock on a day, and for how long?
Must have been over 100 doors, Julio, a day, because I used to do it at least for 6 to 7 hours a day.
Wow.
If not sometimes more. I would start early, go knock, get my lunch, go back at it, and even sometimes go back for a third round after early dinner. So it had to be at least over 100 doors for sure.
Ricardo, when you started, how many were in your sphere of influence?
And none, Julio.
None? Like as in friends, family, none?
None, just pure cold leads, cold raw leads that I needed to go out and just create, build relationships, meet people, and build transactions off of cold door knocking and cold calling.
God.
Everything was cold.
So cold. Woo. How many deals did you end up doing in your first year?
I don't remember precisely, but I think I'm within the ballpark. My first year, me and Sandra together did approximately, on the half year that I worked as a part-timer, I think we did about 36 transactions.
Wow.
Just as a part-timer, and helping her after work. So I would finish construction, get home, shower, get dressed up, and then go help Sandra, assist her with her duties on her day-to-day prospecting, just in the evenings, weekends. And then if I'm not mistaken, we did about 36 transactions on half a year, me putting in just part-time work.
So in the last 14 years, you have gone from 36 transactions to 300 transactions. If you were to start all over again, what would you do first?
I would go back again to what I did, but I think the most important thing that I would do is I would get myself prepared better. And when I say prepared, it's the preparation is very important for the success. I feel I could have done better if I would have trained myself better. I've learned as I was going by making a lot of mistakes, but I feel that if I had better training, understand the process better, I would have excelled quicker and would have grown quicker. But if I would have go back to start, I would do the same thing when it comes down to activities. My door knocking, my open houses, call calling, expires, FISBOs, etc. But I would have spent more time on training and preparation than the time I spent on prospecting, because I used to prospect a whole lot and very little training because I didn't have access to training. So the training would have been crucial so that I could have been more productive with my door knocking, and I could have been more productive with my open houses and my call calling, etc. I just didn't understand. Nowadays I would put in more time for training preparation, less on the prospecting, until I got to a point where I was better trained, then I could start changing that balance out.
So maybe in the training you would have a stronger conversion ratio where you would talk to less people before you actually got a sale or a listing.
That is correct.
Walk me through the steps a new agent or any agent should take to start or reignite their business right now if they were to start over.
Well, they have to build obviously have to build good principles, good habits, have schedules, follow schedule, have basically your day broken down on your to-do activity on a day-to-day basis, and then you follow that schedule, on a daily basis, going back to, in a sense, training, prospecting, and, lead follow-up, and the way you just structure your day to make sure that you create a good habit of a day-to-day routine that is going to allow you to eventually start, producing at higher levels, or start producing your first transactions and then start growing your business by creating good habits. But again, habits that are going to be done on a day-to-day basis consistently, because that's what I did unconsciously, not having understanding of a schedule. When I started, we didn't have access to a whole lot of training or preparation towards obviously, building a fundamental business to the way I understand it now. So I would say just we have access to all of that now. It's create a good schedule, follow it, stick to it.
Very good. By the way, do you advertise? And if so, how much do you advertise? And how much do you prospect yourself?
Yeah, we do advertise. That's kind of one of the things.
You didn't start advertising, right? That's something that has your marketing has developed through the years.
Correct. Yes. Obviously, we were not in a position financially to spend money on marketing when we started, from the beginning. But as we started, growing as a business, the company bank account started growing and allowing us to reinvest back into our business. Then that's kind of one of the first things we started doing was we started, investing back into marketing, and right now we've been, using billboards. We have company vehicles that are wrapped with our business information. We send out postcards. We do direct mailing. We're on social media now. So we have different angles where we market ourselves out to the consumer, to the clients, and then just keep our face in front of the consumer as much as possible. But it started back when we were in a position to start investing back into the company, and we've been consistently marketing ever since then.
So Ricardo, what do you see as the biggest challenges right now in real estate, and where do you see the industry going in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Biggest challenges, I think a lot of the biggest challenges that I hear out there is just agents being concerned about, the discounted brokerages or discounted companies out there that are being a competition to our industry. I hear that a whole lot, agents panicking what's going to happen. Are they going to take over our business and all of a sudden we're going to disappear? I personally don't see it as a challenge, Julio. I see it as just a way to understand that we got to prepare ourselves better. We got to educate ourselves better so that we're able to obviously keep these companies off our tails, because nothing is gonna supersede connection face to face with our customers. I'm still out there getting my 6% listings, and I knew those customers were talking to a possible Zillow, Purple Bricks, Redfin, and so many other companies out there that just out of the blues, came into the marketplace. But I think, again, it comes down to just the preparation that we're doing. That should give us a hint that we need to educate ourselves better. We need to be better at what we do. We need to present better so that we're able to obviously continue, to get listings, assist our clients, and don't let that affect our business environment. The marketplace itself, I feel we're still in a very strong market, flat but steady and strong. Enough demand, a lot of buyers looking to buy. We have a lot of sellers selling to upgrade, downsize. I'm very positive about the market. There's good stuff happening. We're busy. We have a lot of, transactions going. I feel overall it's a good marketplace, and it'll stay there, depending on what happens, in the next few years. But, I see it as a flat but consistent, steady, strong market.
So you've seen it as a consistent, steady, strong market for 14 years now. That's awesome.
Yeah, correct. And I think, again, everything it's mindset, right?
That's right. That's great. That's great. So you mentioned, Ricardo, that you are getting listings in 6%. And there's right now a lot of, like you mentioned, companies that are cutting their fees, or agents, let's say, individually. How are you able to get 6% when others are saying, oh, they're cutting my commission, they're cutting my commission?
Correct. It all comes down to preparation, Julio. Confidence on what you do. If you're confident on the service you can provide, you're knowledgeable on you can provide, and you create value to your client, you're going to show up with a different mindset where you're going in there and it doesn't matter who you're competing with. You're going to provide a better service. You're going to create more value for that client because you're knowledgeable, you're experienced, the marketplace better than anybody else. And that comes down to preparation. If you're prepared and your marketplace and you know your business well and you role play and you do what you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis to get better and present better, then you will have those outcomes. And by pre-qualifying the client prior to the appointment and everything that you are being taught, in a sense, to be able to understand who you're meeting and how you're preparing for your appointment.
What would you tell a new agent about our 90-day explosion here at Century 21 King, and would you recommend it for them to grow their business?
90-day explosive, I like that. I like that concept, and the reason why I like it is it's 90 days, right? And it takes 90 days to break bad habits, to create new habits. So what the concept is 90 days explosion program. What it does, it basically creates the opportunity for you to get in an environment with a group of agents that are going to be basically on a day-to-day basis for the next 90 days, committing themselves to follow a schedule, which we talked about earlier, to commit to touch X amount of prospects on a daily basis, and basically follow a schedule that is going to be available to show you how to grow your business, basically to get you to be, in a sense, a new agent, to recreate your environment and to be somebody, in a sense, that you have a well lined up schedule.
I know you are partial to Century 21 King, meaning you love Century 21 King, but what would you tell an agent about Century 21 King and why they should consider coming over to make this their new office?
It's a great environment. I've stuck around here probably for about 12 years now.
Yes.
I believe so. I've always get asked, why are you still there, Ricardo? Why haven't you moved like everybody else, bouncing around? First off, because I'm very steady to where I'm at. I'm very loyal to the people I conduct business with. I've got a great broker like yourself. I think I appreciate the relationship a whole lot. You've been great to us, to the team, to my family, and overall it's a good environment. It's a great environment that has allowed me to grow, that has allowed me to stay consistent, that has allowed me to stay just ethical and professional on what I do, to keep my standards high, and to be surrounded by the right people who wants in me to improve myself and at the same time empower others to continue to grow. So that's why we're here, and we'll be here for years to come.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ricardo.
Thank you
for your time. Well, that's it for this interview. To find out more about the 90-day explosion and how to be on track to your real estate goals in 90 days, you can call me at 909-980-8000. I'm Julio Cardenas with Ricardo Acevedo. Have a great day.